Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly source of all things Seattle Kraken and beyond. My name is Heather.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Matt.
And unfortunately, we are without Derek again, but we're hoping to have him back really soon. It is episode 24, and as always, we have a great show for you this week, including all the latest Kraken news, a breakdown of last week's games, a check-in with Coachella Valley, and we'll take a look around the hockey world in the sound table. Before we get into news today, we're going to switch things up a little bit and talk about something that has been in our group chat. It's going around the internet, especially on X. But are we burning out Joey, and why are we burning out Joey? Because he has played more games, had more starts in the past 3 months than any other NHL goalie, period. And we have nothing to play for at this point. We are out of the playoffs. Why are we doing this? So we're going to have a little chat about that. And I do want to, Derek did weigh in on this. So I am going to read a little thing that he sent us because he did want to share how he felt about this. So this is what Derek had to say. We're going to kind of jump off of that and then have a combo. But Joey has played 17 of the last 22, which is like 77%. Pretty high, but I'd probably want my starter to play like 65 to 70%, about 50 to 60 games a year. So honestly, we only need to sprinkle in a couple more games of having a backup. It would be understandable if it was a playoff series push, but not the finish to an abominable regular season where we are literally incentivized to lose more, except for our last game so that we can beat 76 points, which is so real and so true. I love that. So it is true, though. Like, you know, Joey has a fantastic record, but he has been showing signs of wear and tear, which we can talk about, especially in regards to the Utah game. But why are we doing this? Alex, do you want to start?
It doesn't make any sense. Like, flat out, it doesn't make any sense. This team is not making the playoffs. We've been mathematically eliminated for weeks now. We've known we weren't going to make the playoffs since January. And what's the point? Like, unless he has like specific bonuses that the team wants to reward him, then sure. But you're still bringing up the question, are you going to burn Joey out? Quite frankly, I think you're going to do it. It's stupid. It's silly asset management. You know, you call up Victor Osman, you have, Coco, you have Grubauer, you have Stetska. All these guys are, being called up or sit on the bench and they're not playing. And you just continuously have Joey playing in net to a point where, he's going to pull some wins when you don't want him to win. And then you're either having him in the net and he's getting absolutely bombarded and coaching isn't doing anything. So what the hell are they doing? Because like the last thing any of us want is for Joey to blow a knee out, blow it back right now, or a couple games ago, and then the team being like, yeah, he's gonna be out for 4 or 5 months, and then you're thinking he's not gonna be ready for the NHL season next year. So lots of question marks. I just think it's stupid and quite frankly ridiculous.
So I don't have a problem with Derek's statement of wanting your starting goaltender to play 70-ish% of the games. I think if you're the goalie number one, you want them playing more than half. And I don't think 70% is outside of the reasonable limitation of what we have him do. What I do have a problem with, though, is that we have in the last 11 games, I think that we played, Joey played in 9 of those. So that's 82% of games. And of those 9 games that he played over that last 11 game stretch, he started 6 consecutive games. And I know in press conferences and all that sort of stuff and press releases, Dan's been asked before about like what do you think about Joey's workload? And he just keeps saying he does fine. He has the conditioning. He wants to play a lot. I mean, he can want to play a lot all he wants, but you got to give him a break every once in a while, especially when we've been out of the running for so long. Throw in Grew. Bring up Stezka. Bring up Coco for an actual legit start and not a throw-in halfway through a game when he's not necessarily expecting to play. So, little ticked, little frustrated. I'm glad that at least in the games we're going to talk about coming out, Grubauer got the start in the second last game of the year, the penultimate game, and hopefully Joey rings out the year as the starting goaltender. But the consistent starts is what I had an issue with.
Yeah, I actually was really, really pissed about the Utah game. I know we had a back-to-back, and so the idea would be that Grubauer would have played. And I understand that he was ill. He had the flu that's running through the locker room. I understand that. But you call up Victor Ostman. He can play. And I just don't understand why they wouldn't put him in to start with, because what was going to happen? They were going to have a terrible loss. Guess what? Happened anyway. Like, what is the point of completely burning Joey out here? It's like they're out of the playoffs. There's nothing to lose. And if you have to pull, I mean, I just don't think it would have been worse to have Ostman in to start. In fact, after the third goal in that Utah game, I felt like Joey was visibly frustrated, which that's not something that Joey technically shows. He's usually very even keel, very calm. He's not too high, he's not too low. So to see him like that, and for the staff to not realize that and then pull him then, even if you were going to start him, not to pull him after that third goal was criminal. I hated seeing that. I just don't understand why they would do that. And I know that goalies they're not going to say, oh, I need the rest. They want to play, but I think they don't maybe know what's best for them, especially at this point in the season. I do not understand it. I'm so pissed. I think it was so stupid, and I'm so irritated by it. Like the Utah game made me so irritated, so mad. I'm so pissed. But I just think Joey is such a goalie that he's a butterfly goalie. He's always on the move. He's going to hurt himself. And then, and how badly is he going to hurt himself? And then we have to worry about him all off season going into next season. Like it was a big mistake. It's a big mistake in my eyes.
When you guys are talking about Joey, like just running himself into the ground and hurting himself, the image that just popped into my mind, and maybe it's dramatic, so I might pivot from this, is just like Apollo Creed in the Rocky franchise, where he's just in there and he's getting bludgeoned and beat up, and it's not going to turn out as grim as that turned out. Spoiler alert for that movie. But I'm just imagining fans in the stands yelling like, "Get him out of there! Throw in the towel! Save our guy!" It's just like, at some point it just becomes painful to watch. And like you said in that Utah game, you could just see the pain on his face. So I don't want us to, we're not going to Apollo Creed our guy. We're going to Homer Simpson him. When Homer was boxing on The Simpsons against Dredrick Tatum, everyone's like, oh, I can't watch this. So what we need is somebody, I don't know who, but someone's going to come in with that parachute fan that Mo comes in and scoop Joey out of the net and whisk him away. Bowie will come in with the helicopter fan and just whisk Joey away to safety.
No, anybody listening to this, I hope they don't take this the wrong way. If it was Grubauer, I'd still be questioning it, because I'd be like, okay, we still have a backup goaltender, but I wouldn't be as worried because of the amount of discussion and rumors going around Grubauer being bought out at the end of the season. That could have been like, hey, we just want to see what you can do. We want to give you every opportunity for other teams to see what you can do so you can, better your future outside of this organization. But Joey Daccord is your number one goaltender. Hypothetically speaking, he goes down, tears an ACL, MCL, bad back, knee, whatever, you name it, and he's out 6 months, 8 months. We don't know. Who's your goaltender?
Yep. Who
in the hell is your goaltender next season? I can tell you, we don't have one. Nicholas Coco, maybe, because Stetska's not even, he's going to be a UFA.
Yeah.
You're not going to bring in, Victor Ostman. He's been playing in the ECHL. So what the hell? And I think I really do agree and echo what Heather's been saying about the Utah game. Joey wasn't ready.
Mhm.
Joey just played that first game, the game, the night previously. The last thing he's wanting to do is get into the mindset of playing again. He's expecting a break, you know, but goaltenders are voodoo. They'll be like, I'm ready to go. Like
Exactly.
they don't know how to turn it off. They're just gonna say, I'm put me in, coach. Let me play. But as Heather mentioned, by the third goal, Joey's just looking for a lifeline, being like, come on, put the kid in, just let
Hmm.
him figure it out. Because we're in a situation where points don't matter. Like let's be honest here. We want to lose games. We want to higher draft picks. So why are we doing this? Why are we potentially, threatening our number one goaltender for not just the summer, but for next season? It makes no sense. It really doesn't. And, I would have loved to see Victor Osman play a full 60. Like, I don't know what it is with this franchise and not giving young goaltenders the opportunity to play a full 60. We didn't see Nicholas Coco play a full 60. We didn't see Osman play a full 60. We're in a lose-lose situation regardless, so let them play. Rest your goaltenders. Joey's stats just go down because you play him. And he's Superman 99% of the time. He's not going to be Superman 100% of the time. It's just not going to happen. So it was poor management from, I think, the general manager side, where you make that call up and you don't tell your coaching staff, Osman's playing tonight. I don't care. Osman's playing tonight. And it's a poor coaching decision to say, hey, Joey, you're in. It's just poor all around, because quite frankly, this could have been a completely different situation if Joey hurt himself.
Yeah. And Osman came in, and the circumstances had to be terrible. Can you imagine the vibes going in that third period? It had to be terrible. And he came in and he stopped 12 of 12 shots on goal. Five of them were super impressive. I mean, they're all great, but five of them were like, okay, wow. I feel like Utah even tested him a little bit there at the end and was like, okay, let's see, new guy coming in. And he looked good. And he looked good. Like, but why put him in that situation too? Like, you're setting him up to fail anyway. Why put him in when they're already down so much? The team is clearly struggling. Like I said, vibes had to be awful going into that third. And then you're throwing this kid in. Like, that's a terrible way. It's the same with Coco. Like, just not a great way for them to start their NHL career in any sort of way, shape, or form. And I don't know. I hope that's not a trend, because I hate it.
Yeah. And hats off to Osman, because you have to remember that this kid's been playing in the ECHL. Like, he's played a couple games with the Firebirds this season, but quite
Yep.
frankly, he's been two leagues below
Yep.
to the NHL. So to throw him in and realistically come out of this game with 100%, save percentage is quite frankly impressive, because the Kraken got blown out, and he stood his ground when he needed to. So hats off to Osman, but there's a serious question mark as to why in the hell are we burning Joey out? Because we are.
Yep.
I can't wait for this season to be over, because Joey needs this break so bad.
Same. And he's got one more game, one more
One more.
game, and then he can rest. He can go on vacation and I mean, the season ends and then the break is short. It seems like before we realize that we're back in the season again, but he's got time to go and rehab and rest. And he has definitely earned that for sure. All right. Well, let's go into some Kraken news. I have quite a lengthy bit of news today. I'm going to start with injuries, which I don't think there are any. However, the flu has been running rampant through the locker room. And that is one of the reasons why we did see Victor Ostman up. In fact, the Kraken called him up and Ryan Winterton from Coachella Valley on 4-8. Ryan Winterton is actually the Kraken's last of four allowed non-emergency call-ups that they're allowed after the trade deadline. And he actually has since been put back down to Coachella so he can play in the playoffs. So exciting for him to get back and do that. So we're glad for that. Osman he was an emergency call up, so he has since been sent back down to the Firebirds. He played the one game and went back down. So not much time up for him, but again, that was an emergency call up, and he did get to play. So that part is exciting, despite what we were just talking about. Also, Yanni Newman has been reassigned to Coachella Valley as of April 7th. We knew this would come sooner rather than later since the Firebirds are in the playoffs and he needs to get back to those lines and those systems. And when we get to Firebirds, you'll see they really missed him and they're excited to have him back when we get to those games. We also had some fun signings this week, too. The Kraken signed forward Andrei Lashko to a 3-year entry-level contract. He was a 4th-round draft pick in 2023, and he has been playing with the Niagara Ice Dogs, which is a really cool name, in the OHL. This season, he had 70 points in 67 games. That's 34 goals and 36 assists. And he also led his team in power play goals with 16. So really fun signing there. Kraken also signed forward Nathan Villeneuve to a 3-year entry-level contract that will begin in the 25-26 season. He was a 2024 second-round draft pick. He's 18 years old, he's a forward, and he's been playing with the Sudbury Wolves in the OHL. And this season, his third with the Wolves, he had 70 points, made up of 36 assists and 34 goals, as well as having 12 of those goals be power play goals. 5 of those were game-winning goals, and those were all career highs for him this season. He also had his first career hat trick on December 20th, so he's been just having an outstanding season, and that is really exciting. So he also signed a tryout agreement and will be playing with the Coachella Valley Firebirds for the remainder of their season. So any thoughts on these signings, Alex?
I actually like both of them. Lashko, he is an interesting pick to be signing. 4th round, like you mentioned, in the 2023 draft, and 70 points with the Ice Dogs. I don't foresee him really cracking the Kraken roster anytime soon. He's going to be a Firebird, player, but that's a great place for him to develop. He has the ability. It's just going to be interesting to see if you can translate that over to AHL and then to the NHL. So he's kind of a toss-up, but I definitely think he's worth the chance and kind of see how he progresses. Nathan Villeneuve, though, I'm so excited with this pickup. This is my wild pick for the offseason, preseason already. I think he could crack the NHL roster next year. He is young, but he has something that the Kraken are missing. I think he could be a really dynamic 3-4 line player. He's not afraid to get into the corners. He's not afraid to hit. First game with the Firebirds, he dropped the gloves. So, he's there doing what he needs to be done. And at 18 years old, doing that in a new league is impressive nonetheless. But he knows how to shoot. He knows how to pass, and he gets the job done. He's willing to go into all those dirty corners just to do whatever he can. So I really like that signing. Definitely keep an eye on him, because if he doesn't crack the Kraken roster next season, he is going to be a dynamic player in the AHL with the Firebirds, not just next year, but until he actually gets to possibly play with the Kraken within the next year or two, I believe.
Yeah, pretty exciting. A couple other bits of news. Brandon Montour played his 600th NHL game on Saturday against the St. Louis Blues. Jaden Schwartz was named as the Seattle Kraken nominee for the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy. This is awarded to the player who best exemplifies perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the sport of hockey. This is the second time that the Seattle chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association named Schwartz as the nominee for the team, with the first time being in the inaugural season. More Seattle Kraken are headed to the IIHF World Championships. Philip Grubauer will be playing for Germany, and Adam Larsson will be playing for Sweden. Berkeley Catton was named the WHL Player of the Week after putting up 2 goals and 8 assists in 3 games played in the first round of the playoffs against the Vancouver Giants. He was also nominated for the 4 Broncos Memorial Trophy for WHL Player of the Year. I know I'm eating my words a little bit about us drafting him when we wanted a defenseman, because wow, this is exciting to see. And last little piece of news here, Tyson Jugnath has been nominated for the Bill Hunter Memorial Trophy, the annual WHL award for Defenseman of the Year. So the future is definitely bright for us as we go through these ups and downs of the season. I'm pretty excited for what's to come.
As we near this year's draft, I find myself thinking back to that draft stream that we did last year and how audibly we all groaned when we took this Berkeley Catton kid. Who is this guy? Oh, another center, of course, Ron Francis did instead of a defenseman. But this guy has me hyped on WHL playoffs, and I live in the city where Connor Bedard played in the WHL, and there was all that hype, and I just never got into it. So kudos to Berkeley. You read off his Player of the Week stats that he had there. One of the most ridiculous things in that, I think, is in the last game to close out the first round of the playoffs, he had a 7-point game. So very pumped up for this kid. Can't wait for him to make it up to the big show, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
So now we're going to jump into our game recaps from the games of the previous week. So in game 78 against the LA Kings, there was a 2-1 victory. Game 79 against the Utah Hockey Club, it was a 7-1 loss in a brutal beating. Game 80 was against the Vegas Golden Knights. It was a 2-1 loss. And game 81 against the St. Louis Blues, it was a 4-3 shootout win. Yes, I said shootout win because those rarely happen. So in regards to this game, I watched 2 games. Didn't watch the Kings game. They won. Decided to say, you know what? I haven't watched the last 3 games, so I'm going to watch the Utah Hockey Club game. And you're welcome. And for all the people on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, they kept telling me my bedtime was 10 p.m. because I wasn't allowed to watch another Kraken game because the first game I watched within 4 games, they were getting absolutely pulverized. It was one of those games where I was like, you know what? I'm just feeling so moody. I'm going to watch this entire game. So there I was sitting in my room. It was like 12:30. I was holding the phone like half awake and they scored again. And I'm just chuckling to myself at the same time, getting extremely mad because Joey is getting lit up and coaching staff's not doing anything. So yeah, I don't really need to talk about that game. Same with the Vegas game. Doesn't really need to be talked about. St. Louis Blues game was interesting. I did watch that one. Yeah, so Gene Schwartz got his 25th of the season. The last time he actually did that was about 10 years ago. I believe it was in the 14-15 season where he scored 28 goals with the St. Louis Blues, ironically. So kind of getting 25 goals against your former team, and last time doing it was literally 10 years ago. It's quite impressive. So that's a pretty cool, feeling to have. Love the fact that they were able to get a victory for Grubauer. That's been pretty cool because I definitely think the way that even Chandler Stevenson said after the game, we really wanted to get this win for Grubauer. I don't know about anybody else, but my first thought was, do they all know something that we kind of know, but they know, but we're kind of just thinking about it. So lots of, him and Han about that, but it was really cool to see them get that win. And quite frankly, I was just really happy that they got that win because the Seattle Kraken are sitting at 76 points. And I was watching the game and I'm like, oh, man, I really don't want the Kraken to win this game. Like, I know we don't want to get points because we want to get a better draft pick. But there I am sitting, I'm like, okay, well, if we lose the game, we're going to be sitting at 75 points. So the only way we get to 76 points is if we have another overtime loss. And I don't want that on Tuesday night. So there I was sitting there, I'm like, you know what? I want us to win this game. So now we're sitting at 76 points. 76 points. I predicted 76 points for the Seattle Kraken at the start of the season. So all we need to do now is lose game 82, and I am a prophet apparently. So yeah, but shout out to the Kraken for winning their final home game.
They have one more home game.
Oh, never mind. I can't tell anymore. So hats off for them winning a home game, but a shootout. Like that's I'm pretty impressed. That's pretty impressive to say the least because we're absolutely dreadful in the shootout. So yeah, that's my take on it. It's not too exciting, but hey, 76 points is 76 points. 76 points.
For me, the Kings game was interesting because overall, defensively, the team looked great. Like everyone was playing really well that way. Joey, okay, so there was this 5-on-3 penalty kill, and they actually played really well during it. They were able to kill it off. And I feel like that was like the momentum shifter for them too, not letting the Kings score then. And Joey had this really great poke check during it that was like, he's so good. He's so talented. And it's like he could easily be playing almost any position and you'd still probably be able to say that about him. So every time he has something like that, I'm like, oh gosh, Joey, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, we're just so lucky to have him. But overall, just a good defensive game. And, we love beating the Kings, especially because they have this great home record and we kind of went in and smashed that for them. So I kind of like that too. The Utah game. Oh gosh. I mean, I obviously, I'm irritated about Joey, but I was also pissed about Shane being back on the fourth line. Like we talked about it last week, next season he needs to be that 30 goal scorer for them, and this is not how you do it. Um, it's like, did he only get those extra minutes previously because Stevie was injured and the plan was never for him to get more minutes this season? Like, and now I'm thinking that's what it is, and that's really frustrating to me. That's upsetting. Um, before Canner's power play goal in this one, the Kraken were 0 for 20 on the power play going into this game. It's like something really, really has to change here. It's not working and they're not making adjustments. And I know people are going to come for Coach Campbell, but this is a shared role. It's not just her. So please, like it's everybody, but they need to make adjustments. It's noticeable when she draws up the plays actually. Also, Shane needs to always be on the power play. I think he's still the leading power play goal scorer, right? Like why is he not on the first unit all the time? I don't get that. I'm not going to go into goalie stuff. I have more notes on it, but we've kind of talked that over. But the game's upsetting to me. Like, I know some of the players were probably sick and they were still playing through it. And I get that, but that's your job. Like, that's what it is, It's interesting, too, because the night before, Jamie Alexiak took a puck to the mouth and he was standing there saying, I love eating pucks for you boys. And then the next night they have this game where like they're not playing with any sort of pride whatsoever. I just don't I don't know, it doesn't compute. I know they were going off of less sleep and being sick, but my goodness. The Golden Knights game, I know it was a loss, but it was a good effort through the entire game. Like it was a full 60-minute effort. And the Golden Knights they're one of the tougher teams we struggle with. And I think, they did pretty well and they did have a good push when they had pulled Joey. And I know that's something that most teams should be able to do, but the Kraken haven't always been able to. So when they do, I'm really excited for that. Good game for Joey. And that was really important because that Utah game was so horrific. So it was really great to see him kind of bounce back from that one. I'm so thankful for that because that can easily get in your head when you have a game like that. So happy for Joey there. The St. Louis Blues game, the Kraken won a shootout. What? Like, I'm still. I saw some people today that I usually see at games, and we were all talking about it. Like, what? They want a shootout? I just can't handle it. This was exciting in the third period. The first and the second periods were a little dull, but that third period was pretty exciting. And like Alex said, Shane Wright and Chandler Stevenson both said this was a win for Grubauer, and I think we are all kind of thinking about it potentially being his last game. With the Kraken. So, we're all kind of thinking about that. He was the belt winner, so I'm happy for him for that because, that's exciting. The 19th goal of the season for Shane Wright. So I am going to that last home game on Tuesday. Can he please get that 20th goal so I can see it in person? Like, that's all I ask. Just that one extra goal for Shane, get that 20th goal. The shootout win, exciting, not helpful for the draft position, but what can you do at this point? So I, however, am hoping for a win on Tuesday because I want them to beat 76 points and have fan appreciation night be a really great night and to prove Alex wrong. So fingers crossed that we can pull out a win for that one.
So overall, looking back on the whole week, I feel that this was like the quintessential Kraken mid experience that we've been used to all season. We started off super strong, we ended strong, and we just had a big old slump in the middle. So looking at that Kings game to start, knocking off the second place team in the division has to be a real good feeling. So I like that. And I have to say off the top, we need to give some sort of props to Quinton Byfield on the goal that he scored. Blocking out Shane, one hand redirecting the puck past Joey. I know if we scored that goal, we would be cheering about it for the next 10 years about how amazing it was. So I'm going to give him some props there. Luckily, we were able to mount the comeback. We had Matty helping us with that. And then we had just the best combination of what I would only refer to as like Matt's guys. These are Matt's guys. We had Monty, Ebbs, and Stevie coming together for that game-winning goal. Seeing Monty reach his new career high of 17 goals and hitting 40 points, that was awesome. So love to see him come in and make an impact on this new team. Then it gets grim. We already went in on Joey, or not going in on Joey, but we went in on the team for how Joey was treated in that game, so I'm not going to spend too much on that. I really feel that The two middle games in this last week are kind of rinse, repeat, copy, paste. In the recaps, you can say, sucks for Joey that he had a loss, but thank goodness that second one was better. And then Jared McCann, thank you, Father Canner, for bailing us out in each of those games and getting me a Sasquatch point on one of them. So special shout out to him there. I do want to say that I never thought of it in the way that Heather said of Shane Wright only getting playing time in recent games because Stevie was hurt. I never made that connect the dots in my thinking of the games. So if that's the case, even if it's not the case, I'm going to go down to my kitchen and get some tinfoil and form a little hat and hopefully manifest better things for Shane next season, because him dropping down to that fourth line, no bueno. We want him scoring goals, and guess what? He scored goals in the St. Louis game. The St. Louis game, I only passively watched because I was working on Saturday night and following along, but some awesome things in there. Schwartzy opening things up with the goal. I feel it's weird to say that he is like having a breakout season when he's a veteran of, I don't know, I can't remember the draft year he was in, but he's a veteran of how many years, so it's weird saying he's having a breakout season now. But I feel he's been like Mr. Consistent this season. It's so nice having him not plagued by injuries like he has been in the past. Got very dicey when Grew let in those 2 goals in 13 seconds. I got very nervy for him in those moments, thinking that we were going to just take a deep dive right there. But then Shane Wright, never a doubt, slides it in off of his skate on a shot from Jamie Alexiak, knocks it back. We love him. 50th career NHL point for him on that goal, so awesome, big milestone there. And then I was driving home from the bar that I was working at when the shootout was happening, so I had Fitz in my ear and Al as well giving the play-by-play of it, and I'm in most cases a nervous wreck when it comes to the Kraken playing in shootouts, and this was no exception there. Shooters are coming out. Tolvey starts it strong. A whole bunch of misses. Grew bails us out with some amazing goals, at least from what I heard. I went back and watched it after, and there were some really awesome saves he had there. They called Matty Beniers to come out, and I just went, oh, God, because we are not fans of when Matty Beniers goes into the shootout. But you know who saved the day and brought it home for the Seattle Kraken in round 7 of this shootout? Channy Steves, baby. Love it that Chandler Stevenson was the one that sealed the deal. So at the end of this, super nice to have Grew get a win on what might be his last game in a Kraken sweater. Like Heather said, he did get the belt. Hopefully we get a win on Tuesday so that belt can be passed to someone so he doesn't have it strapped into his saddlebag on the back of his horse when he rides out into the sunset. Does this really help our lottery odds? No, not at all. It's not the most ideal. But I think that strong silver lining is Grew getting a nice finish, at his potential finish, we'll say, at his Seattle Kraken career.
The NBA 82-game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
I want to talk about how they've been playing Matty Beniers as the 1C.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane has been playing like 3-4, but he has not only more points, but the same amount of goals. And I kind of want to just kind of like hear your take. And Matt, I want to hear your take if you have any points on that, because I feel like it's an interesting discussion on that one, just because Matty should have like 60 plus points and he just doesn't.
Yeah.
And we're having Shane Wright not play that. So I just want to bring that up. So
yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
This is the thing that has really, like, I'm confused by it, very confused by it. I don't understand why you don't put Shane in a better position
Yeah.
to play better. I was thinking about this too, actually, in relation to two former Kraken players. Ryan Donato and Morgan Geekie. They're both having really fantastic seasons. And sure, sometimes that happens, but they're also getting more ice time than they were in their last season with the Kraken. So there is a connection there, and I don't understand why you don't give Shane more minutes. Like even on those, after they sat him for a while and he came back, he was still eased into it. Like the first game back, he had like 10 minutes or something. And he still, what did he score? I think he might have scored a goal. I can't remember. I just did a write up on him and I don't remember, but I think he either scored a goal or got an assist. The next night, he still had the same. He got like 2 goals. I mean, I don't understand. Put him in for more time and he's going to thrive. And again, like we talked about, he needs to be one of the high scorers next season. And this is not how you springboard that at all. So I don't understand it, and I don't understand it in relation to Matty. I'm okay with Matty getting minutes, but only if Shane is also getting the minutes. That's my thing. I don't understand it.
I think the other thing, and I agree with you, is the whole easing him into games played and minutes and you name it.
Yeah.
Like I look at other players like Macklin Celebrini. Yes, Celebrini is a first overall pick, touted as, one of the best players that's probably going to be in the league in the next 4 or 5 years. They threw him right in. Like the
Yep.
Sharks were like, we're not going to, throw you on the third line or on the fourth line. You're going to get second. And now he's playing first line minutes and he is producing.
Yep.
Another one I think of is Ivan Demidov,
Mm-hmm.
who's coming
Yeah.
in
Great
through the
example.
Canadians. I think he's playing his first game on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be shocked to see him play second line minutes
Mm-hmm.
because he's that good. They're going to expect it. Shane Wright, has 19 goals. I can't remember how many assists, but he's got like 43, 44 points this season. Matty has about 43. They're on equal fight, like equal terms, but Shane's been playing way less minutes.
Yep.
So my the question I always have is, would the Kraken be in this situation where we're now talking about, well, we missed the playoffs. Not only that, but we're really badly missing the playoffs. If Shane's playing top line minutes, could this guy be putting in 30 plus goals this season?
Yeah.
It's a question that we could be talking about
Yeah. Yeah.
because realistically speaking, he's been playing 13, 14 minutes a night
Mm-hmm.
and he still has 19 goals on the season. You give him that extra 6 minutes a night, easy 30 minutes, 30 goals, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
possibly get a couple more of those overtime losses, those back-to-back losses that we've not won a single game this season.
Yep.
All of a sudden that record shifts. So
Yeah.
just a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand it. I worry a little bit for the future of our development, and that's I think the other bigger issue too. It's like, are we going to bring in these players, and that's how they're going to develop, is these tiny minutes when they, and not everyone's going to be a Shane Wright who has earned more minutes. I understand that, but like, what about the ones that do? Are we gonna also, it's like they're baby stepping him in and he's ready to just play. He doesn't need kid gloves anymore. Like the fact that Turbo hit him I think that showed you all you needed to know, right? Turbo came out and blasted him. And it's like, yeah, because Shane Wright is a good player and he knows that and he's ready to hang with the big boys. And that's the truth. I don't understand. It is so frustrating to me, the whole situation.
And the funny thing is they haven't done this to any other player. Matty got first line minutes coming right out of college.
Yeah.
Karts came out of the AHL in the playoffs and was getting top line minutes
Yeah.
like at that time. And even Yanni Newman
Mm-hmm.
was playing, second line minutes when he was in for his time up for the
Mm-hmm.
like 6 or 7 games 9 games that he played. So I don't know why they're doing this to Shane Wright. Like he has shown leadership ability, he's shown goal scoring, assists, playmaking, you name it. Give him the time, throw him in the deep end. Just do it. Like I hope this isn't another thing that we're worrying about next season because I do expect
Same.
him to play second line minutes, even first line minutes,
Yep.
because I think he's proven it. And
I agree.
I love Stevenson, but I think that we're at this point where sure, Stevenson's making 6+ million, but he can make 6+ million on that third line. I have no issue with that. Give Shane ample opportunities and tell Matty that it's not guaranteed that you're going to get the top line center position, because I think at next season where I'm looking at right now is Shane's your number one, Matty's your number two, and Stevenson's your number three. And I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in listening to your guys' takes, my brain went a couple different spots. My first thought was like, does Ron Francis just see Matty Beniers, their first ever draft pick, as just his golden egg for the future, golden boy, poster child for the Seattle Kraken for the future? And he's all in on him. There is no changing of his mind for that. And that's why he's just constantly gets these minutes. We never saw Matty take a press box trip like some of these other guys did. And like Heather said, as soon as Shane came back, he started lighting things up. Heather said before too, he's the top power play goal scorer. So clearly he knows what he's doing. Alex, you talked about how Macklin Celebrini was a number one pick, so that might be why he's getting minutes, but Shane was projected to be number one pick. He went down to 4, whatever. And we talked a little bit before, a few weeks ago, about wondering if that drop that he had, like clearly teams saw something that wasn't there in him, so maybe Ron has something like tainting his view of Shane Wright. I don't know, it's so weird. I can't get inside the mind of Ron Francis and figure out what's going on, but I'd like to imagine that every time Shane walks past Ron's office or skates past his little perch that he has at KCI during practices, that he gives that ice cold dagger stare that he gave to the Montreal table on draft day up to Ron Francis's perch, just to try to send a message. And you said that he's going in and baby stepping his way and all that. And one of my go-to lines in teaching with kids is baby steps are still steps. So like, we're making progress no matter what. We're just maybe being a little slow about it. But when it comes to Shane Wright, I'm just going to give that a big old fat and say we need to shove this kid in the deep end. He knows how to swim. We don't need to worry about that. Throw some sharks in the water. He's going to survive. He needs to be our guy. I do agree that he should be number one minutes next year, or first line minutes next year. Matty down to 2, Stevie down to 3. I don't know if Ron is bound to his checkbook, and because he's paying Stevie and Matty the most money of those centers, he feels obligated to give them the top minutes. But you mentioned before that Yanni Newman and Karts were getting top line minutes on their AHL call-ups, so there's no rhyme, reason, or theme to it. I don't know. Ron's got something going on, but I really, really hope that we're not having the same conversation in end of September, start of October next year. Please, hockey gods, get these lines sorted out, and please give Shane some ice time.
I'm with you. I hope we're not having the same discussion next season. I'll be very disappointed in the whole plan, because I don't understand it one bit. And I think he's had a great attitude throughout this. I think he's somebody that goes above and beyond, not just, in the ways that are related to hockey, but just as a human being. He seems to be somebody that stays behind and helps and cleans up. And I'm like, why is this kid being punished? It just seems like that. And I don't understand that.
No, for sure. But I will say, as long as we're not having a discussion about who the next Seattle Kraken captain is, I'll be okay with it, because I don't want to do that ever again.
I cannot do that again.
No, no more. Jordan signed a 10-year contract extension and just remain as the captain, even if you don't play. For the love of God, I don't want to talk about who will be the next Seattle Kraken captain. We'll find out in 3+ seasons, because we don't know. So, yeah. But in regards to, developing prospects and developing talent, we're going to go down to the AHL and talk about the Coachella Valley Firebirds in our Desert Dialogues. Wednesday, April 9th versus the San Jose Barracuda. It was a 1-0 loss. Not too much to say about this game. It was 0-0 at the end of regulation, and the Barracuda won the game in overtime, just 53 seconds into it. Nathan Villeneuve played his first AHL game and got into a fist fight as well. So, kind of what I mentioned previously, that's exciting stuff. And Coco had a great night, 27 of 28 shots saved. So you can't really complain about that. It was just one of those games where both goaltenders were hot and one team was eventually going to get past the other. So it is what it is.
And the Firebirds played on Saturday, April 12th versus the Bakerfields Condors, and that was a 4-2 win. And what's exciting about this one is that the Firebirds were very happy to have Yanni Newman back because he scored twice in this game. And not just that, but those two goals were 28 seconds apart. The first one was assisted by Nick Brouillard and Beniers, and the second by Beniers and Oscar Fisker Molgaard, who now he's also new on the Firebirds, and I love to see that. Cale Fleury, also freshly back from the Kraken, ready for the playoffs, notched a goal. Nick Brouillard and Jacob Melanson had the assists on that one. Jagger Firkus had the fourth goal of the night, assisted by Nick Brouillard and Cale Fleury. So it was a multi-point night for Yanni Newman, Nick Brouillard, Beniers, and Cale Fleury. So this game should make everyone very exciting for the playoffs because the whole team will be there and there's some new younger players and it is going to be so fun. So this made me so excited because I was like, Yanni Newman's back. Like this is going to be an amazing playoff run for them.
And as of recording today, Sunday, April 13th, the Coachella Valley Firebirds are playing against the San Diego Gulls. Right now, they are in the second intermission. The game is 2-2. Goals scored for the Firebirds. Beniers scored his 23rd of the season, assisted by Yanni Newman for his 16th of the season, and Ty Nelson for his 24th. And the Firkus Circus, 15th of the season, assisted by the one and only Nicholas Brouillard for his 30th of the season, and Beniers has 27 assists on the season for that. So game's still up in the air, but overall, a promising game so far. Guess we'll see what happens at the end of this game. So there's that.
And a little bit of Firebirds news. Carson Rakoff was added to the Firebirds roster. He was playing with the Brampton Steelheads in the OHL. Their season recently ended, so it's a great time to have him join the Firebirds right now. Jakob Fibiger and Clark Caswell also signed their amateur tryout agreements with the Firebirds, and they've been added to the roster. So Fibiger, he's a defenseman. He was drafted in the 7th round with pick 202 overall in the 2024 draft. He's been playing with the Brampton Steelheads this season. He had 3 goals and 30 assists. And then Caswell is a winger, and he was drafted 5th round at pick 141 overall in the 2024 draft. And he's been playing with the Swift Current Broncos, and he had 22 goals and 62 assists. So this is going to be really fun. Loving seeing these guys get to come up and play. Our top Firebirds, and this is as of 4/13, so not including the game that's being played right now. Beniers has 48 points in 55 games played. Yanni Newman has 43 points in 56 games played. And Logan Morrison has 40 points in 69 games played.
2 upcoming games this week, Friday, April 18th against the Abbotsford Canucks, and then Saturday, April 19th against the San Diego Gulls. AHL standings with the playoffs coming up, we know our Firebirds are locked in. In addition to the Colorado Eagles, Abbotsford Canucks, and Ontario Reign, the Calgary Wranglers and the San Jose Barracuda will be joining the Firebirds in the playoffs from the Pacific Division. Get ready, everyone, because the playoffs are going to be wild. The addition of these new young players, I'm excited for Carson Rakoff. I'm excited for Jakob Fibiger because not only is his name a lot of fun to say, but he's a towering defenseman and stay at home. He knows what to do, but he can also contribute on, playmaking abilities. So they might get a shot. It's going to be, it'll be interesting to see how the Firebirds coaching staff play around with their team because you're going to want the best players in. So if the opportunity knocks, you might see, the likes of a Fibiger or a Rakoff or even a Caswell. It's going to be hard to say, but ultimately having them there is going to be quite entertaining and exciting because if they do get the opportunity to play some AHL playoffs, they're going to be ready to step in right away.
All right, and that'll take us to the sound table. The Sound Table is our weekly discussion of all things hockey related outside of the Seattle Kraken organization. Starting off with our first topic this week. The Great Chase might be over, but there is still plenty to talk about surrounding it. Following the record-breaking performance on Sunday afternoon, Budweiser decided to honor the Kings of Zero, those goalies who did not allow a goal, against Alexander Ovechkin with a King of Zero commemorative can. This includes, most notably, as we talked about last week, Joey Daccord, who in his career saved 14 shots by the Great Eight. This was tied for the fourth most shots saved on this list of 28 goalies, so I hope Joey Daccord enjoyed that crisp, cold can of Budweiser Zero. Now, do we remember back in January when we had that amazing final 5-minute 3-goal comeback against the Vancouver Canucks? Well, they decided to take some of that shine from us and have some sort of redemption for themselves in their game on Tuesday against the Dallas Stars. The Canucks set a record as the first team in NHL history to come back from a 3-goal deficit in the final minute to win the game. The Canucks scored with 60 seconds remaining, 30 seconds remaining, and 7 seconds remaining before taking the win in overtime. There is an awesome video I saw it on Instagram and Twitter. Can't remember who it's from, but I'm sure if you go looking, you can find it, of showing the live odds of this game. And at the start of the 60 seconds, it was like 99.9% in favor of the Stars. And then after that first goal, it dropped to like 98.4. I'm just making these numbers up, but it was still in the high 90s, and then it dropped more, and then it was a 50-50 shot going into overtime. So just an absolutely crazy, wild ending. Go check out the highlights of that. If you check out Instagram, I'm sure you can find it. It was a very exciting game to see. In a real feel-good story for this season, Colorado Avalanche captain Gabriel Landeskog appears to be getting close to returning to NHL action following an injury that has had him on the shelf since the 2022 Stanley Cup Final. This injury was sustained when Cale Makar's skate cut Landeskog just above the knee, and he has been rehabbing that injury ever since. On Friday, the Avs captain made his return to pro hockey when he suited up for the Colorado Eagles. He played again on Saturday against the Henderson Silver Knights and recorded a goal, his first professional hockey goal in 1,027 days, and he had an assist as well. So hopefully we see him back in the lineup with the Avs once the playoffs roll around, and that'll be quite an exciting story to see him return to NHL action. Two stories coming out of Minnesota this week. On Wednesday, Minnesota Wild goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury played in what was likely his final home start of his career. On this big occasion, he made sure to hit a milestone as the Wild defeated the Sharks 8-7 in overtime to give Flower the all-time record for overtime wins at 70, passing Martin Brodeur, who he was tied with at 69. And in this same game, San Jose Sharks rookie Macklin Celebrini recorded his first career hat-trick. Congrats to him on that. He is the first number 1 overall draft pick to have a hat-trick in his rookie season since Austin Matthews did so in 2016. Now, we've been dreading the Seattle Kraken goalie situation all season long. If you go back across our episodes, you're going to hear us just moaning and groaning about Grubauer and Joey getting run into the ground. But it could always be a lot worse. And I think a prime example of this is the Pittsburgh Penguins. On Friday night, the Pens allowed a goal on their opponent's first shot for the 15th time this season. 15 times this season out of 80 games, I guess it probably would have been at that point. The Penguins allowed a goal on the first shot that they faced. This puts them just one shy of the record set by the 2000-2001 Colorado Avalanche, and that's definitely not a record that you want to break. And then lastly, I guess with no more Overwatch, we only have one more thing to talk about, and that's the Stanley Cup playoffs are almost set. At the time of recording this, 13 teams are out, 13 teams are set, and 6 teams are sitting in limbo with various complex clinching situations coming down to the wire. Notable in this year's eliminated batch, this is the first time in NHL history that the Bruins, Penguins, and Rangers have all failed to advance to the playoffs in the same year. And also worth noting on the positive side, just today, the Winnipeg Jets secured the President's Trophy for the first time in franchise history. They look to be the first team since the 2012-13 Chicago Blackhawks to go on to win the Stanley Cup after finishing off at the top of the league in terms of points. And with that, that'll conclude this week's Sound Table. Heather, would you like to let the folks know what our week ahead looks like?
I would love to, and guess what? We have made it. There's only one game left this season. It is Tuesday, April 15th versus the Los Angeles Kings. This is a 7:30 p.m. start. It is the last game of the season and the last home game. If you're going to that game, it's Fan Appreciation Night. I did see that the giveaway are little Kraken coasters, so that's exciting, I guess. I will be there, so I'm hoping for a win and a Shane Wright goal. Those two things would make me happy. Not in that order. Shane Wright goal first. After that, whatever. But I want him to get that 20th goal really badly. And with that, Matt, do you want to let the people know where they can find us online?
I can absolutely do that for you. So first things first, we want to make sure you go out and sub to the YouTube. Go over to youtube.com, type in BTWSEA, hit the sub button, and you're going to want to pay very close attention. You're going to want to go and do that now. Pull this up on your phone you're listening to, head to your YouTube app, drop us a sub, because we have something very special going up onto our YouTube page on Wednesday morning once the season has concluded. Special little project I've been working on all season long, so I'm very excited for you to see that, and hopefully you have some fun checking it out. As always, you can go and check out the Beneath the Waves store. Head over to bit.ly/BTW store to see all of our awesome designs and products that we have. We have pretty much every product you could possibly want some sort of logo on: fanny packs, t-shirts, coasters, coffee mugs, hoodies, whatever you want. We probably got it. Dog bandanas, we got those too. We have our Beneath the Waves gear, we have Monty Mania, we have our Joey icon design, we have the Price is Right. Lots of fun stuff in there, and I'm sure there's going to be more stuff coming down the line. So go give that a look. Maybe you can do some retail therapy to help you with how poorly the season is winding down at the end. And lastly, we love that you have joined us on this podcast journey. Whether it's your first listen or you've been here since episode 1, we're coming up on 25 episodes next week, which is absolutely crazy for us. So a huge, massive thank you to everyone who has joined us. And it would mean the world to us if on your podcast app of choice, be that Spotify, Apple, iHeart, whatever it is, please consider taking a few seconds, drop a follow, leave a 5-star review, give us a little blurb in there, something you like about the show. We love hearing back from you. Your feedback helps us grow this show and give you more of what you would like to hear. So head on over and do that. And wherever you want to find us on the internet, you can go to @BTWSEA. One more time, that is @BTWSEA. That is for the Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever it is that you want to get more Seattle Kraken and Beneath the Waves content, you can find us there @BTWSEA. Thank you all for joining us this week. We will see you next week in your feeds for the big episode 25. Take care, everybody.
Going beneath the waves.